Good evening, everybody! Welcome to the 6th round of International Sim Racing Organization's 1991 F1 Series, tonight coming to you from Mexico City. Cars are just finishing up their qualifying laps, and we have a real surprise for you on the top, a name that we haven't seen in a while that will certainly be mixing things up. And I'm joined in the booth by Jonatan Acerclinth. Jonathan, good evening.
Good evening, Jason, and good evening, everyone.
Yeah, we're going to have Alberto along in a little bit, but Jonathan has very helpfully decided to pop into the booth for a second. You're going to be in this race, actually.
Yeah, I've been nagged for the past, whatever many months we've had, 4 months, to partake in the series, and finally the pair of Jakes and Nilsson got me to actually give it a go, and I enjoyed this particular track and had a thought of partaking in it, and when they helped me with setup and driving style, then why not?
So how is the LaRousse handling for you so far?
Handling is perfectly fantastic. It's probably one of the best cars for this particular track in terms of the tire temperature and health. Down the straight, I'm lacking a little bit though. I noticed I'm down something like 30-35 kilometers an hour on the Honda and Ferrari powered teams. So
Really?
yeah, that'll be a bit of a stretch, but I'm a little bit quicker in the S's as a counterpart, so we'll see. I won't be winning outright, but with a bit of luck, I may score a point or two.
Well, we're just now moving into the warm-up session, and really an amazing turn of events. Lewis Stephens has grabbed the pole position, it appears, with Dave Miller third, Grant Radall third, David Saber fourth, Brian Janik fifth, Gabriel Del Piccolo sixth, Anders Nilsson seventh, Adam Hackman eighth, David Jakes ninth, and Richard Coxon rounding out the top 10. But Lewis Stephens stepping into a super sub role for the Tyrrell team. Pretty surprising performance.
Yes, I haven't really paid much attention to the very quickest ones since I didn't expect to be up there, but I haven't seen him turn that kind of lap time at any point, so certainly very impressive to get that out of the car in qualifying specifically.
Yeah, so definitely there's going to be a few people up front. We also have, that we haven't seen in a while, we also have some people joining us new here at ISO that we haven't seen before. A few people making their debuts tonight, so that ought to be interesting to see as well. Let's take a moment to go through the point situation as we go into today's race. I promised that in a previous broadcast that it would be a tighter situation, and it indeed is. First place is still Richard Coxon with 28 points, but Pascal Mikola, who is not racing today, is second with 20 points, so there's just an 8-point difference there. Richard Wilkes is third with 13 points. Dave Miller is fourth with 11 points. He got 1 point for sixth last time out to go with the 10 points he got for his one win at Brazil earlier. And Grant Radall, with his win last week, enters the top 5 with 10 points. According to the constructors table, Scuderia Italia is still in the lead with 31 points. Braun Tyrrell Honda, though, is not far behind with 22 points. Motor Racing Developments is third with 19 points. That's the corporate name for the Brabham team. Fourth is the Minardi team with 16 points, and then Leighton House Racing is fifth with 13 points. The track itself, Mexico City, Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. This is a very interesting track, Jonathan, because you have a combination of high-speed sections and then very, very twisty S's at the back, where you're basically just trying to get through there without losing too much time. But it's kind of a maddening combination, I would think, for a driver.
Yeah, it's certainly it's very much a driver's track, I would say, and very much a compromise track as well, because you go into the turn 1, 2, 3 technically 4 and 5 as well with cold tires. And if you overdo it there, the walls aren't that far away, and then, as you say, in the S's on the backside, and on the other hand, you're overheating the tires, especially if we get as hot as we've had. I think the highest we've had so far is 29 degrees, and I mean, you're overheating the tires when it's like 24 degrees on the track. So if we get 29 and above, it'll be a real challenge. And then obviously we have the final corner Peraltada, where if you overdo it by the tiniest margin and you have the counter steer, you'll be having, just like you have in an oval, the car shoots up the banking, and you'll have a moment just like Senna had in, I believe it was 91, actually.
Yeah, Senna had a really not the best of weekends coming into this race. First of all, he had an accident on a jet ski, I believe, when he was vacationing, and had stitches in the back of his neck. And then when he arrived at in Mexico for this race in practice, he had a very heavy crash at the Peraltada. So yeah, it was not a good start to his weekend at all, both personally and professionally. But it's rare that you see him make a mistake of that magnitude. But yeah, this is a track. The other thing about this track is that it's incredibly bumpy. You'll be seeing a lot of that with the cars. There'll be a lot of sparks coming off of them in a bunch of places. I mean, obviously with the high fuel load, but even with low fuel load, I think we'll see a lot of sparks. The other thing to keep in mind with this track is that first turn is going to be very perilous because you're coming down this long straightaway into the first right-hand bend, and it's going to be a long drag race. So, I mean, that'll produce an excellent visual for the start, but I wouldn't be surprised if a few cars go off in the first turn. So we'll see.
It's certainly a possibility, especially if you're starting towards the back. We have all the draft down the straight as well, so you're arriving there maybe as much as 10, 15 kilometers quicker than you're used to. And if you then, for any reason, get a little bit optimistic with your brake and brake too late, then you're most likely going straight on.
That's true. We have a few people, like I said, making their debuts. Adam Manderson is among them. He's going to be driving the footwork. He's going to have his hands full around this circuit, I would think. Tim Hille also has moved over to the Jordan team, which is going to be good. Those of you who tuned in for our broadcast last Sunday will recall that he had an excellent run in Tin Tops, and now he finally has a car in F191 that probably suits his talents. So we'll see if he can do well in this race. I don't think he's too far up on the grid, but this is a race that's going to show some attrition. Simon Watman is also making an appearance tonight in one of the low tie. And as we mentioned, Jonatan is racing tonight as well. Mike Olsen is back in the Ferrari. Richard Coxon, championship leader, starting 10th. I would think that he'd be knocking on the door of the leaders very quickly.
It is certainly a possibility.
Yeah, up until Lewis put in his blistering lap, it was basically a dice between Dave Miller and Grant Rodolph at the top spot. And then Lewis came out of nowhere and had posted an incredibly quick lap. So it'll be interesting to see how he does in the race. Of course, the all-important first corner. Before I forget about it, let's talk about news items for this series. A couple of news items from the Ferrari camp. This Ferrari, the 642 that's in this race, is going to have improved suspension for more consistent grip and handling. What a concept. And the Tipo engine that they have now should be available with a higher rev limit and more power. We talked before we went on the air about how Mike Olsen and David Saber just haven't been able to do much with these cars so far. A lot of that because of early incidents in races, but at least in this case, they should have a car that handles better and has more power.
Yeah, that's certainly true, and I'm certain that at least David Saber will have quite the opportunity to do well here. And Mike, of course, doing very well from my point of view in that Ferrari, and putting in some very impressive times.
Yeah. Other news items, and I think I mentioned one of these already, but just to reiterate, Tim Hille has switched to Jordan, replacing Jan Kowalski, but the other one I didn't mention is Anders Nilsson has replaced David Junt at Minardi. So,
and that looks to be a lethal combination.
Oh yeah, I mean between him and Brian Janik, who's already proven to be wicked fast in the Minardi, that should prove very interesting for this race. So let's see if we can go for a flying lap with somebody here.
If you wish, I can go out on track and you can ride with me.
No, that's all right. There's some people coming out. That's okay. We got, okay, well, here's David Jakes just going through the Peraltada right now, and he's going on a flying lap here, so we'll take a look. You can see how much you have to adjust the car coming through there. So now down the long straightaway, you can see Tiago Canola pulling off to the left there. Some cars are topping out at over 190 miles an hour at the end of this straight, and that's by themselves without any tow, so it ought to be interesting to see what happens. Down into third gear here for the first right-hander, then back to the left. Oh, there's Jonatan just ahead of us. Back to the right. And now this is the other straightaway that's where you get some decent speed. As Jonatan moves to the left, lets Jakes by. And now you have a series of, this is probably the slowest part of the course, a series of tight corners and one hairpin right here. Oh my goodness, what happened there? Oh, Jakes, I guess, had a ping issue. In any case, now begins the long, monotonous, and seemingly endless S's section.
Yeah, it certainly takes a very long time.
And he's using third gear through here, and you can tell he's just like basically leading the car through here, and he can't really get on the throttle too much. There's not any significant banking to help him here. Comes out of that turn onto the curb, and now the straight that's next to the oval, and then the very fast Peraltada. You can see the pit lane entrance on the right-hand side there.
That's
so you have to make it. You have
more dangerous proposition than Peraltada itself.
Yeah, you got to make a commitment to go to the pits early here. Now let's go for one more flying lap with David. Heading under the Goodyear Bridge, you can start to see the markers on the left-hand side there. Downshifting now into third gear for the first turn. Then immediately back to the left. Another one back to the right, and he's third gear through the whole thing here. Now under the... Whoa! He has a bit... Oh, shoot! I think that's a problem that some people will have here is tank slapping situations with their cars.
Certainly, especially those with a bit more power where they get the power kick on the curbing.
Yeah, that was a rather... the Yamaha engine especially is very heavy. So that's going to be a problem for David. But if anybody can handle it, it's him. And Grant's going to be looking to have an excellent result here because he's had a run of bad luck to start the series, and then he finally came good a few weeks ago and got his first win. So we'll definitely have to keep a close eye on him during the race. Let us take a look at the trivia question that we have for this round while we have a moment. The trivia question has to do with this race, but going back to the first one that counted for the World Championship. Who won the first Mexican World Championship Grand Prix held in 1963? Was it A, Jack Brabham, B, Jim Clark, or C, Graham Hill? We'll have the answer later in the broadcast. Also, we want to wish a very happy Easter to everybody who's watching, those of you who are celebrating Easter. And we'd be remiss also, Jonatan, in not mentioning a piece of bad news that we heard about this morning. International News Services reporting that Sir Stirling Moss has passed away at the age of 90.
Yeah, that's certainly very sad news. I would say, is one of the best ever drivers, no matter the discipline. And always, from what I've understood, very both feet on the ground, so to speak. Never like you would see sometimes today where drivers wouldn't even speak to the normal person. Would seem that he always wanted to talk with anyone that wanted to talk to him.
Yeah, he seemed like a really good guy, and but also he had his own signature wit. I watched an interview with him once when he drove for Lotus. He was acutely aware of how fragile Lotus cars were. And there was a party that they had at one point where a cake was presented that was shaped like a lotus. And Stirling was given the honor of making the first cut. And his first cut was to cut a wheel off of it, and he puts it on a plate and says, "Give this to Colin Chapman." And Colin Chapman apparently didn't think it was very funny.
Understandably not, but that's certainly a little bit of proper humor as well. Then.
Yeah, so he definitely wasn't shy about his opinions, which is I wouldn't call him irascible like obviously like Innes Ireland. He was crazy at times, but Stirling Moss managed to have his own opinion about things and be assertive without and was still a gentleman, which is a really hard balance to strike, especially in this day and age. Seems that if anybody wants to assert themselves or have an opinion about something, they've got to be slightly boorish at the same time. But yeah, the racing world's clearly lost one of its legends, and so it was definitely something we wanted to mention top of the show. But there's tons of good interviews with him out there, if those of you who aren't too familiar with his history. He also had a really good commentating career later in some color capacities. He was also involved a lot in the Can-Am series. Even drove the pace cars in a lot of the races. But he was instrumental in getting the series off the ground, from what I understand.
And
so
even later on in his career, he continued racing. I know Juha mentioned that he raced well into his 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
Of course, maybe not at the same speed that he was going in Formula 1, but still plenty fast enough.
I would really be interested in seeing. I mean, there's one. I mean, obviously, making such a film would be hard, but I've done reading before about Fangio, and then Moss comes along, and it's like a changing of the guard sort of a situation, with Moss being kind of the new kid on the block, and that kind of dynamic might make for a good movie.
So that would certainly be an interesting one.
Yeah, but of course, then you'd have to get all those beautiful cars and make replicas or something. And as Ron Howard knows, that's a expensive prospect. As we're joined now by Alberto. We were just reminiscing about Stirling Moss, who we learned passed away this today.
Yeah, very sad news indeed. One of the great racers, and well, it's very unfortunate, but we're getting to a point where all those legends are really old. He was really a survivor, 90 years old, unless I'm wrong. And unfortunately, they are passing away. So that's another good reason to give all the credit to those that are still alive and to try to make the most of their company still. I mean, with as many interviews and as many things as possible, because their legacy is so important for motorsport and for society in general, because they've always been the model of the youth and also some kind of heroes in the eyes of everybody. So many of them know very well the responsibility that they have in that regard.
I think I speak for everybody when I say that Sir Stirling Moss's life was a life well lived. No question about it.
It was, and it was also very deservedly knighted, not just for his merits in motorsport, but I think because he was one of the most gentlemanly, if not the most competitor ever. I mean, one of the cleanest racers and really a class act. Man.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Any interview that you see with him, he's so well spoken and so thoughtful. Yeah, there was only one Stirling Moss. Nobody like him. All right, let's shift gears now and talk about what's coming up in the weeks ahead here at International Sim Racing Organization. This Wednesday, we go back tin top racing, Lakeside International Raceway. This is rounds 13 and 14 of 16, I believe.
Yep.
Wednesday, April 15th, tax day in the United States. So if you have to give some money back to Uncle Sam, soothe the pain of that by having some fun sim racing with us. There's plenty of cars available. And then in a couple of weeks' time, from here, we're going back USAC Racing for the Michigan 200, round 5 of 13. This will be the last race that we run in this series before the Indianapolis 500-mile race. It will pay a decent amount of points, so before we get to the next 1,000-point paying one, I mean, this is going to be a critical race and one of the more high-speed ones that we run, for sure, because Michigan, the name of the game is flat out. So
yes, it is. It's a very quick track, and everybody will be enjoying it very much because, I had a personal project and we have developed a completely new track. I mean, we have reused many of the facilities, but I'm happy to announce that we have made using one that we got a laser scan one as template, which means we are obviously not using tracks for which we don't have permissions, but with certain screenshots and measurements and things about that, I've been able to produce a rather good template. And we will be using a track that is really, well, as close as possible, at least as close as you get without laser scanning it. So it will be really a big amount of fun.
Oh, we're really looking forward to that. The championship has tightened up a bit since after Trenton, so it's not quite as wide. It's not quite as a lopsided situation as was before. So should be a good race to have before we lead into the Indy 500 in the month of May.
Yes, in real life, Michigan was actually later, but since we have to accommodate a bit our championship to our schedule here at ESO, we will be running it before. It's the only variation main variation we will be doing despite the season opener at Phoenix. But yeah, it's going to be fun, and we're all looking forward to the month of May because it's basically 3 weeks away.
Yep. All right, so we're going to take our usual commercial break now. We'll be right back after these messages. Don't go away.
It's the lifeblood of your engine. That makes your oil filter your engine's most vital organ. That's why Fram keeps going the extra mile to make the best protection even better. Introducing the new Fram Extra Guard. New glass fiber paper stops more dirt than any other filter for the best protection ever. The new Fram Extra Guard. American or import, it's an extra lease on life.
If you order a suit designed around the way you're built, you have to wait about 2 months. If you want a house designed around the way you live, the wait is 2 years. But if what you desire is a car designed around the way you drive, you don't have to wait another day. The 1991 Acura Legend Coupe.
Where can you go on Goodyear Wrangler radials? Where can you go on Goodyear Wrangler radials? Just about anywhere you want. Put on a set of Goodyear Wrangler radials, and you'll know why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
In 1989, the Honda Accord was the best-selling car in America. Let us repeat that. In 1990, the Honda Accord was the best-selling car in America. Thank you.
The Van Pattens meet one tough customer.
Dick Van Patten, you're saying someone can oil and lube my car better than me?
Yes, it's called Jiffy Lube. In 10 minutes, the J-Team changes the oil with quality Pennzoil.
Here comes the Pennzoil.
Replaces the filter and lubes the chassis. Fills the fluids, 14 services in all.
Okay, but how much?
So welcome to Jiffy Lube.
We'll take care of you like family.
J-Team, this looks like the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
I hit a tree head-on, going 45 miles an hour. My earrings flew out of my ears. My shoes flew off my feet. I totaled my LeBaron, but I walked away with a few bruises. You know, people say I was lucky. I say luck had nothing to do with it. A Chrysler airbag saved my life.
I could give you a dozen reasons why you should consider a Chrysler product. But today, I'll give you just one. Karen McGowan.
I'll be there in a half an hour. Let me think about it.
The most important safety feature in any car is the driver. That's why we've given the Mazda 929S luxury sedan a patented rear suspension and the security of anti-lock brakes. For a driving experience so relaxing, it lets you make those split-second decisions every luxury car driver needs to make.
I've thought about it. Let's order pizza.
The Mazda 929S.
It just feels right.
Of the minivan is now complete.
Get $500 cash back on new Plymouth Voyagers.
A company can learn a lot in 125 years. Valvoline has. You learn in the lab, you learn on the road, you learn on the racetrack. As you learn, you make your product better. And better, and better. Today's Valvoline will keep your engine cleaner than ever before. And cleaner means more protection against engine wear. 125 years of quality. That's why people who know use Valvoline.
And we are back. So about a little more than 5 minutes to go. Alberto, what do you think the keys to this race are?
Well, the key to this race is, first of all, the tires, because that's going to be medium to high wear. We are being warned about it by Richard Coxon, who is giving us those kind of technical tips after driving and doing his setup. Tires, as usual, will need to be conserved, but this is a track that has two very distinct sections. There is a very long straight where all the passing should happen and where you will have the temptation to always use very low wings so that you get the biggest top speed possible there. But then you get a very twisty section that is half the track and where actually most of the time is made. And for that you need more grip. You need to raise the wings, but if you have too much grip and you push too much the tires, you would be probably needing to go to a harder compound, which means you will be going slower. So it's always a compromise in this track, and it's also a very complicated compromise, as it's not just a matter of how quick your car can go, but what the others will be doing, what the strategy will be. The first key is therefore the tires and the setup, and the second key is going to be the pit stops, because there are two possible strategies here: one pit stop or two pit stops. So depending on that, there's not a huge amount of time lost here in pit in, pit exit, but still it's something that always has an effect. So if you are in close competition with someone, doing one or two pit stops can make the difference here.
Any thoughts from you, Jonatan?
Yeah, all of that certainly, and then whoever can stay consistent and not make mistakes, because as soon as you make one mistake, it will most likely compound itself, because if you do it early in the S's, you have another 5, 6, 7 high load corners still to do before you can actually let the car cool. And if you don't take that into consideration and drop a little bit of time just to let the tires calm down, then you may overuse them and you have no grip in Peraltada, and then you will fly off there. But overall, it'll be a very grueling race, but hopefully everyone will behave themselves on opening laps, and we'll have a good one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one especially because as Jonathan's mentioned, it is a driver's track. It's certainly going to test everyone's mental perseverance, that's for sure, because if you lose concentration in the S's, that's not good. Jonathan, seeing as you're going to be strapping into the car, we'll let you go.
Thank you very much. Would you please move me down since I don't have to alt tab?
Which channel would you like to be in?
Whichever Anders Nilsson is in, if he's still around.
Okay. Well, good luck to you, and we'll be keeping an eye on your progress in the race.
Thank you very much.
So, Jason, what would be your tip for winning the race today?
Tires mainly, I think, is going to be.
No, I mean which driver?
My pick for who's going to.
Yes, pick. Sorry.
All right. I don't know. It's tough. I'm tempted to say Coxon. But I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Del Piccolo will finally get his first win in this series. After finally getting to a point where he's scintillatingly quick in this car. We all know that. But I think I'm just going to go out on a limb and say today he's going to make it work because and come away with that win. Because we had a first-time winner in the series last time out with Grant, and he had a bunch of bad luck running up to it. So I'm picking Del Piccolo. For fun. Who are you going to pick?
I'm going to go with Anders Nilsson because he's an absolutely great driver and just got an upgrade of car, the Minardi. So I'm going to put my money on him. But never miss what will be happening with David Jacks, Grant Ridal, and Luis Stephen, who got a blistering pole here.
Yeah, Anders is in the garage right now. His teammate just joined him, Brian Janik. But we were talking about that before we went in the air, Jonathan and I. That's a very potent combination, Janik and Nilsson in those Menards.
Very powerful lineup indeed.
All right, so we got about a minute to go here, and then we're going to go to the race session. 69 laps, I believe, this race, or 2 hours.
Yeah, it's going to be exactly that, 69, plus the warm-up lap. So 70 times around this beautiful track. I say beautiful because I'm one of those that really loves it, but it's a bit of a love and hate track. Some people like it, some don't at all. Me, I'm certainly one of those who likes it.
If you like bumps, I think you'll be in heaven here.
It's always an additional challenge.
Yeah, if your car is able to handle the bumps well, that's fantastic. If, on the other hand, your car does not like bumps, you're in for a long, long day.
12 seconds to go, and the driver's doing the last laps to get familiar with the track. We should be heading for the grid right now.
One team that I'm going to be paying special attention to is the Ferrari team because, as we mentioned earlier in the during the warm up, they have upgrades, both in terms of suspension and engine power. So hopefully they'll be easier for David Saber and Mike Olson to drive. I know they've been having a really rough time of it in early laps in these races. Hopefully today will be a different story.
Well, I don't know what will be the rhythm in the race, but there's one thing that I can tell you. Whoever gets stuck behind the Ferrari will have little chances of overtaking with all that power in the main straight.
With all the power, yeah, exactly.
That's the obvious overtaking point. And conversely, if they are right behind someone, they will be having a good shot at overtaking. And once you're in front, well, what I just said applies. It's going to be hard to overtake it.
All right, so we're going to the race session now. When you see on the board 69 laps or 2 hours, Lewis Stevens grabbing the pole. Really good to see him back racing with us. And obviously, this car and him are a good match.
Yeah, I guess this is a temporary ride because Victor Alcocer wasn't able to be here. But we will see, because one thing is doing a very quick lap and a very different one, keeping the rhythm. As Jonatan said, concentration will be paramount, keeping your rhythm, not damaging your tires in the back part of the circuit. So we'll see.
All right, so once they go off on their parade lap, we will give you the full grid. Very bright, sunny day here in Mexico City. The paint job is looking Yes. All right, here we go. Off in the parade run. On the pole, Lewis Stevens in the Tyrrell Honda 020. Second, Dave Miller, Williams Renault FW14. Third, Grant Riddall, the winner last time out, Brabham Yamaha BT60Y. Fourth, David Saber in the Ferrari 642, putting that extra power to good use. Fifth, Brian Janik from Detroit, Minardi Ferrari M191. Sixth, Gabriel Del Piccolo, Jordan Ford J191. Seventh, Anders Nilsson making his Minardi debut in the car number 23. Eighth, Adam Hackman, that's a good starting position for him, Benetton B191. Ninth, David Jakes, Brabham Yamaha BT60Y. And rounding out the top 10, Richard Coxon, the series leader, Delara Judd D191. 11th, Juha Boss, McLaren Honda MP46. And his teammate, Little Al, is right behind him in 12th. 13th, Ray Riddall and the other Delara Judd. 14th for Richard Wilkes in the first of the Leighton House Ilmore cars. 15th, Mick Chapman in the other Benetton. 16th, Jonatan Acerclinth in the first of the LaRousse Ford LC91s. 17th, Tiago Canola in the first of the Lotus cars, 102B. 18th, moving up to Jordan, is Tim Hilla. 19th, Sam Winton making his ISO debut in the other LaRousse Ford LC91. 20th, Bruno Chacon in the other Williams Renault. 21st, also debuting tonight, Adam Manderson in the Footwork Porsche FA12. This is going to be the last time that the Footwork will have a Porsche engine in it. 22nd, Mike Olson in the other Ferrari. 23rd, Gianluca Desposito, Leighton House Ilmore. 24th, K.O. McKeels, Modena Lamborghini 291. And rounding out the field, having a bit of an agricultural excursion right now, is Simon Watman in the other Lotus 102B, a late joiner to this track. So that's your grid, 25 cars.
Warming up the tires.
Yeah. Cars coming through the...
Cars already arriving.
Peraltada.
Let's not make it too quick in the case of Luis Stephens, because we have seen some barbecues from people that were standing for too long in the grid in previous races. So let's hope that the field groups together quickly now.
In real life, it took 3 tries to get this race underway. I venture to say we're going to have a little better time of it here. We'll see. Of course, now that I've said that. So the cars are
there. Yes, like
cars pulling into their slots. This is a very long drag race down to the first corner, so you're going to get a nice shot of all the cars streaming toward you. But I would venture to say that it's going to be hairy.
Approaching turn 1 really quick.
Here we go. And the race is underway in Mexico City.
No.
We already have parts flying. That's one of the Minardis. I believe that is Brian Janik, and we have cars flying a LaRousse in the background, so we already have carnage in front. Dave Miller's got an excellent jump, but it looks like, yes, Dave Miller is going to get ahead of Lewis Stevens, and so is David Saber. So Dave Miller leads, David Saber second, Lewis Stevens third, Grant Riddall fourth, Gabriel Del Piccolo fifth, Juha Boss in sixth, Richard Coxon seventh, Ray Riddall eighth, Alberto Aquino is in ninth, 10th right now is Tiago Canola. So a clean
has spun and is now at the back of the grid, but has
my
recovered
goodness.
and is rejoining the track. Hopefully no puncture for him. No, it doesn't seem so, because he is still at normal speed. There's David Jakes without the front wing. That's going to be really demolishing for him, because again, this situation, I mean, it's really bad luck. Anders Nilsson there, well, there goes my pick for the race, because he's without the front wing.
Oh, so it was Anders. I thought at first
to the pits, but he's making a bit there of a traffic jam with all the other cars trying to overtake him. He's out of the line, but obviously the rest are trying to go quite.
Oh, Lewis Stevens off the track! Lewis Stevens crashes into the barrier outside of the Peraltada.
Yeah,
and,
well,
oh my
didn't last
goodness.
too long.
He didn't even last one lap. That's so unfortunate. My goodness. Let's take a look at a replay. He was trying to overtake David Saber on the outside of the Peraltada, which probably was not a good idea, at least not with cold tires. He's already got...
Simon Watman goes out in the same corner.
Oh, goodness. Well, that's really unfortunate. I mean, Lewis obviously very quick in this car, but I guess just Peraltada catches him out. That's really too bad.
And
he's out of the race
without the front wing.
David Jakes also in the pits.
But I would guess that he has already been past the entry, and I'm
Simon
not sure why
Watman
he
also
hasn't
out of the
entered
race.
pits.
So we already have 2 retirements. It's very unfortunate. David Jakes is in 23rd. Also, he has stopped apparently with damage, and so is Anders Nilsson. As you mentioned before, Mike Olsen is bringing up the last
Jakes
of the
is
running
coming out
cars.
of the pits now with a new front wing. Simon Watman still in the sand with the broken car there. I'm not sure what he's waiting for.
Dave Miller comes through the Peraltada for the second time. He's got an excellent lead so far, almost 3 seconds on Grant Radal. And Grant Radal is now getting the strong challenge from Gabriel Del Piccolo down the straight. Grant weaving left to right, trying to break the slipstream, but eventually, here comes Del Piccolo down the inside. Looks like he's going to... Oh! Very, very close, but Grant manages to hang on to second place. Del Piccolo in third. Juha Boss in fourth. Good start for him in the McLaren. Ray Radal is fifth. And Coxon's already up to sixth. Well, that's not that big of a surprise.
David Sabre? He just retired.
Oh, no! Talk about the bad luck with Ferrari. It struck again. Olsen 19th. Yes, David Sabre's out of the race. Let's look at a replay. Was it a disconnection or something? I have no idea what happened here. Totally missed it. Running it back here, it could have been just as simple as a disconnection. I have no idea. Goodness. So the perils for
Winton's now in the pit for repairs. That was the last damaged
Winton.
car that was out there, and all the rest are now fit for the race.
So that's 3 retirements now, unfortunately. Yeah, Sam Winton is in the pits.
So there goes Gabriele Del Piccolo trying to overtake in the Peraltada Grant Ridal. He gets there. Well, I was expecting this somehow because Gabriele is one of those guys that really
look at this.
likes to
Goodness.
drive with low wings. So
These two are really going at it here, hammer and tong. Del Piccolo, I think, has got him this time on the inside. Yes, he's going to go through a slight contact there. You're going to be seeing a lot of sparks, by the way, with these cars for the first few laps because they are full on fuel, and this is a very bumpy track. But here's Grant counterattacking as they come up to the top portion of the circuit where there's a lot of tight, twisting hairpin turns. This is the slowest part of the course, easily.
A very complicated situation here because it's very early in the race, and while both of them want to lead and be able to keep their path because their pace, because they will have their own strategy, obviously, it's always like, well, Anders Nilsson also retired?
Yeah, he just pulled off there at the hairpin. So Anders Nilsson is out of the race. So
probably suspension damage that could not be repaired.
Yeah, whatever it was not repairable, unfortunately.
So as we were saying, it's a very dangerous situation here for Grant and for Gabriele because they really need to be careful here because you can't really risk everything, all the whole race for being able to be here at the beginning in a better position. And I see Kayo Michiels has also retired.
Oh, goodness. So I had a suspicion that this would be a high attrition race, and that's proving to be the case, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is. I
take no glee in saying that.
Before the race, and he was telling to me that he had not had the best qualifying position, unfortunately for him, because his last attempt was not successful due to being finding traffic there, being unlucky with the traffic. But he said that he was going to take it easy because he knew that there were going to be many cars dropping off. So he said, I'm going to sit back, relax, do my race, and wait until something falls in my clutches.
Well, we're riding on board with little Al right now, and he's running behind Richard Coxon. So that'll be an interesting matchup because he's got that Honda power, and Coxon obviously can't match him on that score, but we'll see what the handling difference is as they go through the S's here.
There's also in the back of the grid an interesting battle there between Gianluca Desposito and newcomer Adam Manderson. that Porsche power, well, that was so unsuccessful that year in Formula One. As you said, this is the last race that it's going to appear. Now track excursion for Anderson there.
Little Al is shadowing Coxon here, but let's see if he can use that Honda power down the straight to possibly overtake. Oh, well, wait, now he's got an attack coming to him from Richard Wilkes, and he overtakes a little Al. He's going to try to overlap two cars here, and he might actually get it done.
Guy who is using very low wings, it seems to me.
Oh, almost. He almost managed to get alongside Coxon, but cannot get it done, so Wilkes moves up to 7th place. Yeah, he's running low wings for sure.
Yeah, and he got a very good pull from Little Al there. And the problem for Little Al is usual for the Honda engines here, is that they are very thirsty. So they have to start the race with more fuel than the other cars. And until about half the race, it doesn't get really leveled with the others.
You were just talking about Gianluca Desposito. He is out of the race, unfortunately.
Ah. And Mick Chapman now putting pressure on Little Al also.
Oh, here's
Watch
Bruno
out
Chacon.
for the
Look,
cars that are close to each other when they come to the big Peraltada turn, because that's one point where you can feel the washout effect in the front of your car. So if you're following another one, you can easily get a lot less downforce there in the front. And
Jonatan Acerclinth running in 11th place, tailing Thiago Canola here, going into the Peraltada. And you can see how diabolical this turn is. It's by no means
Wilkes now. He seems to have a very good exit out of Peraltada, and that gives him the impulse to do that wonderful overtaking.
And there he goes, up into the points, 6th place.
Mick Chapman
Excellent.
also just made it past Little Al.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Chapman up to 8th place. So the cream rising to the top here. A lot of drivers that we know
we
who...
got Dave Miller in the lead now.
Yeah, Dave's been in the lead since the start.
So, followed by Gabriele Del Piccolo, Grant Ridal, who has been falling back a bit, and Juha Boss is now putting some pressure on Grant.
Yep, Juha showing some strength in the McLaren. Looks like Grant had a bit of a slow corner there. You got to be careful not to run in the curbs too much here as well. They are a little bit taller than they probably appear. And as they come out of the final turn before the Peraltada, Juha's got a definite roll here. If he's smart here, he'll back off a little bit and try to get some momentum going onto the straight. And they're coming off the turn now. Oh my goodness, he takes a big swipe of the wheel, correcting the car. So he's definitely placed well to try to overtake here. He pops out. Let's see if he can make this stick as they get down past the Goodyear Bridge. This should be a copybook pass. It is. Juha goes up to 3rd place. But, oh my goodness, they're back side by side. Grant fighting back, and Grant takes the position back. Yeah, because the challenge there is you're in the wrong place when you get to the next corner. So Grant goes back up to 3rd place, Juha back down to 4th, and then you see Ray Riddall just behind this group. This is a great scrap. I would imagine that for some drivers, the S's are a very frustrating section. What do you think?
Yes, and it also composed with the problem of the setup that we have talked about. Because if you have a setup that allows you to overtake and defend well in the straights, then you are toast here in the S's. So it's obviously easier to defend here, but then it becomes really a kind of nightmare to go to negotiate all of them without enough downforce.
Coming down towards the Peraltada again. We'll see if Juha's a bit further back now, so maybe he can get some momentum going. But oh my goodness, Grant swings way wide. He had some grip issues there. So Juha suddenly is, oh my goodness, there's almost contact there. Juha alongside now, most definitely. And we'll see if Grant can counterattack. So it's the battle of the V12s down the straight here. It looks like Grant has a bit of an advantage at this point. We'll see if he can sweep across. Yeah, Grant maintains 3rd place. So this is an excellent scrap.
Mike Olson there with an out-track excursion. He doesn't seem too comfortable in this track. He just was passed by Bruno Chacon. And Dave Miller has lapped both of them already.
Well, I mean, he's in good company. I mean, I know a lot of people who would say this track is not comfortable at all. So, yes, there's Miller. He has lapped Mike Olson. And Adam Manderson's now running pretty much on his own in 16th place. Jakes, after his pit stop, is 15th. Hackman, 14th. Brian Janik is in 13th. That's really unfortunate as far as, like, Nilsson goes. I mean, that would have been interesting to see. Hilla is soldiering on in 12th. And Canola in 11th. That's pretty good considering the car. Jonatan is up to 10th now. Entering the top 10. Mr. 7th place from years ago. Hopefully he'll be able to crack the top 6. Here's little Al battling with Mick Chapman as they come down to the Peraltada.
Yes, a moment ago I think it was Richard Coxon in front of Little Al, so he must have been able to pass Chapman there.
Yeah, we can see Coxon there,
and
but you can
here,
see
the exit of Peraltada.
Oh!
That's an error from Mike Chapman, but
yeah, Chapman.
Say exactly how important it is.
So Chapman's going to lose several places there. Acerclinth up to 9th, Chapman down to 10th. But yeah, we've seen several people have massive losses in speed coming out of the Peraltada. Much more massive than I would have thought, but they just have a push that happens towards the end of the corner, it seems. And of course, the only real way to counter a push is to lift. But here comes Chapman back on the inside of Acerclinth, can't get the job done. And if you look just ahead of this group, Coxon is there. So this is a 4-car train, pretty much.
Gabriele coming now to lap Bruno Chacon. He still has Dave Miller in sight. No, he doesn't, sorry. That was the other car there in front. But Dave Miller has already passed the start-finish line when Gabriele is coming out of the Peraltada. Peraltada, which means in Spanish, banquet. It's actually a banquet turn. Which is that's the closest that these cars are racing to a Formula, to a oval track.
Albeit going the wrong way. Olsen is coming into the pits now, apparently having some sort of an issue. And now the cars are coming out of the Peraltada, much better there. We'll see how much speed Jonathan's able to pull in the straight here. He's right in the toe of
and Coxon
Little
has
Al.
also been able to get past Juha Boss. So it's now Little Al who is behind Juha.
Yes. Oh my goodness! Oh, no!
There his braking point.
Yeah, Little Al missed the braking point. He's gonna. Oh, he slight contact there with the wall, but hopefully not too bad. He didn't lose the wing. Coming back on the circuit now. Oh my goodness, little close there for some of the other drivers, but no problems there. But yeah, I would imagine it's very easy to lose your reference point there as you're trying to brake. It looks like he's nursing some damage to that car, Alberto.
I don't know. Yeah, he says his icon says repair, so yeah, there must have been some slight suspension damage. I'm not sure if that's going to get fixed. Well, that's unfortunate for him. Because it also caught him in the long twisty section. Still a long way to go until he arrives to the pits.
Acerclinth now coming up to Juha. Definitely in a position to try to challenge, but I think that Honda down the straight will probably negate any advantage he has from the slipstream, unfortunately, because Acerclinth's running one of those really old Ford engines. As they head down the straight again. Oh, and look at this. Here's Tiago receiving a challenge from Mick Chapman. Tiago ducks back behind him to see if he can pick up the slipstream and pass him again as they come down to the first turn. Now there's not going to be enough time to do it, but Chapman recovering nicely from that off-course excursion, back to 9th. Here's Juha again with... he's having to look up the inside of... I believe that's Ray Radal. No, it's Coxon. This is Coxon in 6th. And Juha definitely trying to move up into the points and overtake Richard. He's got the horsepower to do it, that's for sure. It's just a big waiting game going through these S's. You're just waiting for your shot.
Yes. Matter of patience, because if you're riding the car, and it's very easy because if you push a bit, you quickly get closer to the car in front, but then at the same time you're also overheating your tires, so So it's very complicated to have the patience here. There you
Coming
can
out.
see Juha trying to get a good exit out from the
He
Peralta.
got an excellent exit, and he's got a great roll here. My goodness, it's going to be no contest. They come down the straight. He just motors right by. My goodness. Here comes Coxon trying to counterattack, but I think Juha's got it done. Yes, Juha up to
Apparently
6th
Delal
place.
has retired. He has
Oh,
retired.
no.
Apparently the damage was not fixable.
That's too bad. Well, we were only on lap 12 at the time, so yeah, if the car is that undrivable, it certainly would have been a long race and probably would have been a hazard for the other drivers, so hats off to Little Al for having the maturity to know when to park it. Dave Miller still continuing to lead. He's got a 10-second gap between himself and Gabriel Del Piccolo in second. Grant Riddall is third. Ray Riddall is fourth, so you have the Riddall family third and fourth. Richard Wilkes is fifth. Juha, we just saw, went up to sixth. Coxon is seventh. Jonatan Acerclinth is eighth. Ninth is Mick Chapman, and rounding out the top 10 is Tiago Canola. Tim Hillett is 11th. Brian Janik 12th. Adam Hackman in 13th. David Jakes is 14th, and he had an issue on the first lap, so that's why he's all the way down there. 15th position is Bruno Chacon. And believe it or not, those are the cars that are left running. We've had massive attrition in the first 13 laps of this race. Now, the other question is going to be, what tire strategy are these cars on? We're expecting 1 to 2 tire stops. I know that Jonathan told me prior to the race that he was thinking about trying to make the race on 1 tire stop, as we have more action here with Richard Coxon in a sandwich between Acerclinth and Juha Boss. This looks interesting. Acerclinth looking to move up into 7th place here. Of course, then he's going to be stuck between these two, so maybe he'd rather just watch points. What do you think?
Hard to tell. But for Jonatan, this is a one-off drive, so it's not as if he's really, willing to take, to hold back. If he catches 1 point here, that'd be nice for him. But it's not sure that he will be competing on the next round.
Meanwhile, Dave Miller continues to go purple with each lap, so he's setting fastest lap after fastest lap, so that Williams definitely working very well for him on this bumpy, twisty, and very high-speed track. So we'll see if Jonathan can pick up any steam here. Now, notice how, oh my goodness, big correction there was needed by Jonathan to keep the car straight. That's the other thing about the Peraltada. You're never quite sure what the car in front of you is going to do. There can be a nasty surprise if you're not ready for it. And
yeah,
Coxon,
the smallest correction to try to avoid the car in front if he slows down too much can easily bring you out, because the centrifugal forces are so big there.
Wilkes in 5th, and he is starting to close on Ray Riddall, who is in 4th. This will be an interesting matchup. Ray Riddall with the Judd power plant, and Richard Wilkes with the Ilmore.
Jonathan's really getting antsy behind Richard Coxon.
Oh yeah, you can see it. He's right with him. So his car is definitely quicker in this section than Coxon's car. You think Coxon might be running lower wings in this situation?
I know he was not really happy with the setup he had been able to cobble together. It's the Dallara is somehow lacking a bit of everything here. Not enough power in the straight, not enough downforce, and if you also have to make a compromise, we have mentioned before, then in the end you run somehow bad everywhere.
Well, he seems pretty solid exiting the Peraltada this time.
Yeah, he pushed it to the.
Oh, Mick Chapman is off the track again. This is the second time he's that we know of that he's run off of the Peraltada, but he's back on again. It's a good thing that there's that grass on the left-hand side there. Otherwise, you'd be right into the wall. Brian Janik is into the pits now. Apparently, he has some sort of damage that he needs to fix, and that's going to send him tumbling down the standings. So not a good day for Minardi at all.
Another position that David Jakes is going to be able to recover.
Yeah, Jakes now moves up to... Hackman now moves up to 12th. Chapman's 11th. Tim Hilla enters the top 10 in the Jordan, having a good race so far for his new team. He's got Canola just ahead of him.
There's a yellow flag now in Sector 1. Just went away.
It could be that cars that are in the pits are tripping a yellow flag there. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I don't see anything especially wrong.
Okay. Acerclinth again closing in on Coxon. He might have a better shot this time as they go through the Peraltada. But you can see how it's just a lottery sometimes when you're coming through there. He's definitely in the slipstream now, but I still don't think that Ford engine's helping him any. Yeah, all he's able to do is hang with Coxon, so he's going to need something to happen. Oh, no. Jonatan has spun the car slightly at a 90-degree spin there, but he's back going again. Okay, that was a very graceful recovery. So he's got to watch it. I mean, I know he was one who was very concerned about tires. So we're going to have to keep a very close eye in the front of the field as well to see who makes the jump to tires, who's able to get the most out of the sets they have. Because obviously if you can only make one tire stop as opposed to two, that would be preferable, but then if you don't have the pace, it's hardly worth it. Grant continuing on. Del Piccolo by himself basically, and Miller, he continues to open up the gap. It's 14 seconds now between himself and Del Piccolo. You can't even see him in the background there as you have Brian Janik emerging from the pit lane. He's now a lap down, but given the attrition we have, he's only 13th place right now. He hasn't fallen very far down the order, so we may yet see some of these people who've had issues climb back into the top 10, if not into the points. Jakes is now 12th, so I wouldn't count him out of the points either at this point.
Yeah, it's only right now 14 cars on track, so...
Yep.
He has a fair chance there. There's still a lot of race to go.
Yeah, so our retirements for those of you who are watching, first retirement was Lewis Stephens on the last corner of the first lap. Very unfortunate, running off of the Peraltada. Then Simon Watman, David Saber, Anders Nilsson, Sam Winton, Cale McKeels, Gianluca Desposito, Mike Olson, Adam Manderson, Little Al, and then Mick Chapman is now out of the race. We missed that. So that's an incredibly long list of cars out of the race, considering we haven't even completed 20 laps.
So it seems.
I wouldn't have guessed that many would be out this soon. But that first lap, obviously, there was a lot of carbon fiber flying in the background there. We chose to focus on the front of the field. But certainly it appeared like there were lots of damaged cars back there.
Yeah, the start of the race, that was a shame. Because
yeah,
I think one of the cars, had a slow start. We should see the repeat of that, but one of the cars had a slow start and he was run from behind, and that's what triggered everything.
Looked like it was a reaction time situation more than anything that led to that. Yeah, Chapman in the pits, and it looks like everybody at the moment is pretty well spread out, except for, well, Acerclinth is still following Coxon, but he's got a little bit more. Coxon's got a little bit more room now to work with. And you can hear that ancient Ford power plant behind Acerclinth, very angry, but that anger is not matched by power, unfortunately. Tiago up to 9th now with what's been going on so far. So we may see Tiago getting to the points. I know he's severely handicapped by the Lotus as a car. He's obviously having much better luck in the USAC 74 series, but we'll see if he's able to rise up the standings as the race progresses.
I should say that the real race was only finished by 12 cars.
Well, we may beat that.
We'll see.
We'll see. Hackman is also starting to close in on Tim Hilla. So before long, he might be able to make a charge here. And you can see there, not far behind, is David Jakes. So again, don't count him out. He's proven to be very quick in that car, despite its handicaps, despite the fact that it has a very heavy engine in the back.
He's been doing very solid 121s, whereas Adam Hackman has been doing constant 122s. So it's a matter of time until he catches up.
You're talking about Tiago.
No, David Jackson, Adam Hackman.
Oh, Jakes. Yes. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, Tiago's actually lapping in 123, which is slower than Adam Hackman and David Jakes. So I suspect that in some laps both of them will be catching up with him.
I'm interested to see what speed Jakes is getting out of this Yamaha engine on the straight. He's using a third gear through the S's here. Pretty decent revs through here. Now he comes off of the turn onto that. Man, he's using a lot of that curb coming off the second to last turn. Now into the Peraltada. Using fourth through here. Coming off the turn onto the main straight. Up into fifth gear now. We'll see what speed he's able to get at the end of the straight here.
And Jonathan's is
189.
Again close enough to Richard Coxon, whereas Richard Wilkes is still hunting down Ray Riddell, still a safe distance to go. Juha Bosch has recovered and is actually closing to Richard Wilkes, so that could be a three-way battle very soon. But the closest action on track right now is between Jonatan, Acerclinth, and Richard Coxon.
Yes, Jonathan has reeled Coxon in. I know that Jonathan was going conservative on his tire choice. He was going for longevity as opposed to speed. Oh my goodness!
There. Coming out of the turn.
Oh no! Coxon has spun out. It appears that he doesn't have any wing damage to the car. Hopefully that was just a grazing hit.
Basically just glanced the wall, but it was in parallel. We're going backwards, so with some lag. Well,
here's a replay.
That was right in front of the pits.
Classic oversteer situation coming out of the... And then he snaps back. That probably saved him from any serious damage.
Yeah, with some lag, this won't really affect him much, because with 21 laps already on the record, this could mean he can go for a two-stop strategy easily. There he goes. And what he can do is put some harder tires on the following pit stop, so as to be able to cover the extra laps. But fortunately, it seems that there is no damage in the car, and well, if he was going to enter the pit stop for pit stop either in the next lap or in the next 5 laps, then this hasn't been that damaging. David Jacks already got Adam Hackman and Tim Hiller right in front of him. And yeah, that's indeed becoming a three-way battle right now, because Jakes is coming really quick from behind, catching up. And I suspect that he will make good use of that Yamaha power in the straight and come out of the Peraltada like a lightning and overtake Adam Hackman.
Yeah, he's got Hackman in his sights now. He's got that whip antenna that he has in front of the car. Looks almost like a gun sight.
Look at the different line that he takes to Peraltada, because he makes it basically a double apex corner. He goes very early in, allows the car to go up, and then turns around and goes for the second part of the turn. Well, he's close enough now, but it's a matter of not getting too over anxious now.
Yeah, now he's going for it now. He's looking for a way to get by.
Nah, Adam Hackman didn't put much of a fight.
He didn't. Yeah, actually, he didn't put up a fight. You're right. Probably figured it was inevitable.
Yeah, why damage David Jack's expectations when it was a matter of 2 or 3 laps more until he got past?
Well, now he's getting
Tim
antsy
Hill.
to get around the Jordan in front of him here.
Yeah,
of
David
Tim
is
Hill.
right now a man on a mission.
He is. He wants to get back in those points. It's a long championship, and he doesn't want to. And we know that Jakes has had bad luck earlier as well. Those pesky connection issues sometimes crop up with him. And then he's definitely positioned now to take over ninth place. Yeah, he made it look easy. He just overtakes Tim Hilla.
Look at that double apex. There he goes for the outside.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
now
outside, back
dives
in again.
Whereas Adam Hackman is taking advantage of
Oh
this.
no! Tim Hilla has run off the circuit. Slightly glancing blow of the wall, but it looks like he's going to be okay.
Distracted by the situation with David
I think he
Yates.
did. Yeah, I think he did. And he's got the leader coming up behind him now. So Tim Hill continues in 11th place as a downshift here. Hopefully he doesn't have any serious damage to that car.
Yeah, and in the front, Wilkes hasn't been able to catch up with Brad Riddle, but Juha for sure has been able to catch up with Richard.
Yes, Juha definitely right with Richard Wilkes at the moment.
Yates has already got Thiago Canola right in front of him.
Yep.
That's for 8th position, but from then on it's a long run of 18 seconds until he catches up with Jonatan Acerclinth. It's really a shame because David Yates is showing that he had a lot of pace today. It's really, really a shame that he suffered that incident at the beginning of the race. There he goes.
Straight by Thiago Canola. Up into 8th place goes David Jakes. And yes, as you said, it's now a long haul until he gets close to Jonatan. But given the power differential there, I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to make it work.
Is now really trying to get Ricardo nailed through that. It's attacking him there in the twisty section. I'm not sure. Because, well, probably he already is very well aware that Ricardo is running with very low wings, and there must have been some unsuccessful attempts to overtake there in the main straight. But, well, this is actually quite a dangerous situation here. But coming now, I think already in the Peraltada. Let's see what happens now.
Oh, this is really tricky stuff. See if Wilkes
has been able to go very well through here.
Yeah, that was an excellent Peraltada for him. He doesn't have any of them.
Because you need really big wings to be able to go quickly through there. But Wilkes has been able to do that very well despite keeping that very high top speed. Whoa, that was really late braking there for Juha Boss.
But he gets it done. Juha moves up to 5th place and makes it stick through the next series of turns. We'll see if Wilkes can counterattack. This is a V12 Honda versus a V10 Ilmor, I believe.
Yeah, and Ryan Riddle is not really that far away, so...
Power difference between the Ilmor. The Ilmor is producing 656 horsepower, as opposed to the McLaren, which is producing 694. So there's a definite deficit for Wilkes to deal with, but he's managed to finish well in this car in the past, so we'll see how things progress. Jonatan is in 7th now, and here's Jake's not far behind.
Fallen really into the depths of the grid now is Richard Coxon after that unscheduled pit stop.
Oh yeah,
because so far it seems that everybody's going actually for one single stop. It's the only car that has pit so far, and that's because of the incident.
We'll see. Miller is now about to lap Thiago Canola. He's trying to slip by through the S's. He wants to maintain that massive gap that he has to Del Piccolo. He gets it done. So now there are only, if that's Canola, that means there are only 8 cars on the lead lap at this point. So Miller is setting to just an absolutely blistering pace. Before long, he's going to be coming up to David Jakes. Yeah, the gap to first place from Del Piccolo is 24.246 seconds. So if Del Piccolo is going to make any inroads here, it's going to be in a pit stop situation, it appears.
We'll see. We don't yet know what kind of strategy Dave Miller has in mind, but so far I would say that everybody's going for one pit stop.
Meanwhile, Adam Hackman is not too far away from Canola here. Maybe he can mount a challenge of some kind. Adam hasn't had the best of luck since he joined the Benetton team. Prior to this, he was driving for LaRousse and then picked up a contract to drive for Benetton. As Mick Chapman's teammate. See if he's able to improve on his position here. Looks like Tiago's got it set for now. And he's using fifth gear through here. It's interesting the differences in gear choice. Some people are using fifth through the Peraltada, others are using fourth. I guess it depends on the displacement of the engine, as he definitely has a really good toe on Canola now. I don't think he's going to have an opportunity to overtake here, but he certainly has a straight line speed advantage. So this is going to be interesting. Now he's right with him. Now, my guess is that Canola's car is handling a bit better through this section of the course.
Yes, there are drivers who favor longer gears in benefit of traction because you're obviously coming not so quick from the turns, but also you're doing way less wheel speed, which in this case means conserving the tires. Wilkes really falling behind now because Juha Boss has been able to go quicker, but it's interesting because he hasn't been able to get any closer to Ray Ridal. I mean, the distance is more or less the same it has been for some laps now.
All right, so here's going to be another shot now for Adam as they come through the Peraltada. He's closer this time. Yeah, he's definitely got a shot now. The question is, it's such an early shot. Is a counterattack going to be possible? Down the inside goes Adam Hackman into ninth. Makes it stick, but the next two corners are critical. Is he able to keep in front? Yes, it looks like he did. So Adam Hackman goes up to ninth place. Tiago back down to 10th. You can see Tim Hilla in the background there. But I don't think this battle's quite over yet.
And David Jakes is now 15 seconds behind Jonatan Acerclinth and lapping about 3/4 of a second quicker.
Well, that's not a huge surprise. It'll be interesting to see once they get together, like how much of a fight Jonathan's able to put up. But again, the big wild card that we have to consider here is pit stops for tires.
Yeah.
So far, all the stops that have happened have been for damage that was incurred on lap 1. So once we see people start coming into the pits, we'll have an idea of what their strategy is. We're on lap 29 now, so we have 40 laps to go in the race. So we're waiting until about, like, when you get to about lap 34 or so.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, if people are going to be stopping. So that's not very far away. That's only 4 laps away. So we'll have to have a really close look to see what happens.
And Hackman, how did you call Jonatan before? Jonatan 7th place, where there he is?
Well, he's Mr. 7th place because in previous championships we've run with Jonatan in other leagues, he's always seems to be finishing 7th, especially when the first points paying position is 6th. So
tantalizingly close.
Yeah, so close he can taste it. But hopefully that won't be the case this time. We'll see what happens. Jonathan was saying that he had been nagged to death to join this series. So we'll see how he's able to do. He's hanging with Wilkes right now. And despite the fact he's down a couple cylinders from Wilkes' car.
Yeah, Wilkes has been going slower in the last laps. That's why Juha also was able to build a gap. And I guess it's a bit because of the tire degradation situation. Probably Wilkes used a softer compound to compensate for his lower wings and to get some grip in the back part of the track. But now it's starting to hurt towards the end of the stint. I suppose he wanted to do that first to consolidate his position in the situations where he could overtake, and then maybe he's going to get a bit of a harder compound if he's on the defensive mode in the second stint.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Just because people choose a certain type of tire for the first stint does not mean they'll choose the other one for the second. They may decide, oh shoot, this was not the right choice, and they make a better one.
Yeah, well, and if he's going to change something, he better do it soon because he has.
Yeah, look at this. Jonathan's right with him. Yeah, Jonatan clearly is doing better. Maybe the tire choice that he made was a smarter one. I know that he was going to make, like I mentioned before, he was choosing longevity probably over speed. But look at this. He's definitely doing better with the rubber he's wearing right now compared to Richard Wilkes.
It's amazing how Wilkes negotiates that Peralta, especially because he did such an entry point that he was on the inside and came out. There's a slow car in front, probably someone who came out of the pits. That's Grant Riddle. So I suspect that must have been a scheduled pit stop for him. He has been able to keep his position in front of Richard Wilkes, I mean.
Yeah, suddenly he's right there. So that was a scheduled pit stop for Grant Riddle, then. That would have been for tires. So we're going to have to keep a close eye in the front of the field here, see if anybody has an inkling of going in. Chacon making way for the lead group of cars here. Jonatan had told me earlier that he was actually considering possibly doing the whole race on no stops. I don't know. I think that might be a tad. I don't know if he can do that, but in any case, if he's chosen tires that are really solid and wear very well, then he may be able to do that. Who knows?
Well, Wilkes is certainly now defending his position very bravely. And there, unless Jonatan makes it before the Peralta, there Richard Wilkes is a master there, and it's absolutely brilliant. Look at that. But hang on, because all this is going to cause a lot of damage to Jonatan in the short term, because remember that David Yates is actually chasing him, and he's now only 12 seconds behind. Jonatan isn't able to make the most of his pace because he's stuck behind Wilkes.
David Jake's now heading into the pits. So this, I would assume, is his scheduled stop for tires.
Yes.
Up goes the car. Yep. You can't see it, but on go the tires. Brand new P0 Pirellis. And out of the pits he goes. Very quick stop.
Yes, but Jonatan will also have to do a pit stop. And those 12 seconds are going to be shrinking very quickly. Oh, there comes Thiago.
Oh, goodness, look out!
To get ahead of David Yates.
Oh! Coxon just makes it ahead up into ninth place.
For Coxon.
Yeah, he wanted that. And you got Thiago just behind this group.
Who will be damaged by this situation, at least for a while. Jonathan's still stuck behind Richard Wilkes, who must be delighted to be able to defend like that with the worn tires.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of them continue through. No stop for either. Juha Boss now coming into the pits.
Yes.
Making his stop. The tires.
And yes, it seems that the yellow flag shows up in Sector 1 when they are slowing, because that part of the track before pit entry is not recognized as pit yet, obviously.
Very quick stop for Juha.
Very quick indeed.
In and out. So based on what we're seeing here, it looks like most people are going for one stop.
Yeah, Thiago seems to have now the indication for his pit crew. And he's indeed diving into the pits now.
Okay, so Thiago in. Let's see if Dave Miller decides to come in, because we're at the basically the halfway point of the race now. It's amazing how quickly this has flown by. These laps are just cruising by. Miller negotiating actually, he's in the top portion of the track. I thought he was in the S's. I was wrong.
Grant now getting closer to his father, which who I believe hasn't stopped yet.
Yeah, Grant is fourth. That stop really didn't cost him much of anything. I mean, obviously with Juha stopping now, it's
no stop yet for Rai Riddle. I'm looking at his lap times, and no stop yet for our leader, who is doing very solid 120s.
We'll see. No, it appears he's stopping now. He's moving to the inside track. Yes, Dave Miller into the pits now for his probably one and only stop.
And with a 32-second gap to the second classified, if the pit stop goes quick enough, this should be enough to keep him in the lead.
All right. Yeah, the gap was 32 seconds last time. Out he comes.
Oh, it's a bit of a long pit stop in this
Yeah,
case.
this is a longish pit stop. He's just now coming out. Where is Del Piccolo? Del Piccolo is not even at the Peraltada yet. So
right now.
Yeah, so definitely Miller is going to retain his position as he comes out of the pits. Some people trying to
not stopping either. So it seems he still has got some ways to go, though the cards are now exposed on the table for everybody, because we are seeing now who is doing the single pit stop.
Yeah, exactly. Acerclinth has risen up to sixth place with this with all this shuffling of pit stops. So he's into the points now. So the question will be, how long can he maintain with those tires?
Well, whatever the case, right now David Yates is closer to Juha Boss actually than he was to Jonatan Acerclinth, who hasn't stopped yet. But he's not really that far away. It's
Grant Riddle has just overtaken Ray Riddle for a third place. So we got a family feud going on here.
Yeah, well, Grant was in front and Ray hasn't pit yet, and I think that his lap times in the two last laps have been too slow. But I guess that he might yet have to pit at some point.
Yeah, if he doesn't come in this time around, Ray, I'd be surprised.
And Wilkes hasn't pit either. So it seems that he wasn't in so soft tires after all. Jonatan is still stuck behind him.
Yeah, he is. Wilkes still in fifth, Acerclinth sixth, Boss in seventh, David Jakes in eighth, Cox in ninth after his stop. And here comes Ray Riddle. Yes, Ray is making a dive for the pits now from fourth place, so Wilkes is going to move up to fourth, Acerclinth to fifth. Got this serpentine entrance into the pit lane here to keep speeds down.
And it's still unknown how many laps more they will be doing.
Yeah. I think Miller is in a fantastic situation right now. I mean, obviously, the lead that he built up early was very tactically done so that when he made his one stop, he wouldn't...
And Gabriele has been in the pit stop also, and the difference is exactly the same right now, 32 seconds. So it was also a similar pit stop for Gabriele.
So Miller is in a fantastic spot right now. It's a question of, just keeping the car going, not making any mistakes, and keeping it on the straight and narrow until the checkered flag comes out. I mean...
Yeah, well, and the interesting point about this whole is that the fight for the championship is going to be very much tightened with this situation, because we've been having, except for Richard Coxon, who had a good string of good results, we have been having very cycling winners here. And Grant Riddle, after his win in the last race and now on a solid third position, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Jonatan continuing to follow Richard Wilkes through the Peraltada.
It's interesting that they haven't stopped yet. I don't know what they have in mind. Maybe they are on harder tires than we suspected, and in which case, if Richard does a late pit stop, he can put very soft tires and go way quicker.
I think Jonatan backed off here a bit because he probably realizes Okay, there's a bit of oversteer from him. He probably realizes that fighting Wilkes was not going to get him anywhere. So, and it would ruin his tire choice, as you pointed out. So
yes, and right now after the pit stops, Ray Riddle is in front of Juha Boss. He has already Ray in his crosshair. But hang on, because David Yax is not that far behind them. So that's
no, he's not.
2 positions that David Yax could be winning if he is able to make it to them and overtake. That means the last points paying position, which is in the hands of Ray Riddle right now.
At the moment, yes, Ray has it. But, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Jakes is able to reel this group in.
Yeah, this is not probably the situation you want to be in. I mean, you have something to lose. If you're in, like, I don't know, 9th position and 2 quick guys are coming from behind you, then you would probably think, oh, well, bad luck. But if you're in 6th position, you got there a golden point, and you are trying to hold on to it and have those 2 behind, and, well, there's still so many laps to go. I don't think that's really a comfortable situation for the ride.
Into the Peraltada. Yeah, he's slowly reeling these guys in. And man, he's handling beautifully in that corner considering all the weight he's got at the back. All right, so while we have a break in the action here, let's have a look at our trivia question for this round. We told you what it is earlier. We'll recap it real quickly. The trivia question is, who won the first Mexican World Championship Grand Prix held in 1963? Was it A, Jack Brabham, B, Jimmy Clark, or C, Graham Hill? Okay, time's up. What do you think?
I'll go with Graham Hill.
Nope, sorry. The answer was Jim Clark.
Okay.
You've been reading a lot of USAC books.
Maybe so. I was actually thinking of Pedro Rodriguez, but he wasn't in the choices.
No. Here's a pretty interesting situation. David Jakes alongside of Juha now, and they've got the leader right behind them. Jakes goes up to 7th place. And now Miller's got to try to negotiate here. This is a bit of an awkward situation because these two are battling for position. He gets by Boss. Now he's got to get by Jakes. He's getting the blue flag. That's interesting. Boss looks like he's got a bit more speed than Miller at this point.
Hill in the pits now.
Tim Hill is in the pits. Okay. This is great. Jakes loves this because he's got Miller placed between him and Boss, and he can just like streak away right now.
Yeah, dream situation for him
Yeah,
in this
absolutely.
section. Very well timed. Watch out, because I think that Frank Riddle is coming closer to Gabriele. Yes, he is, I think. Oh no, or am I?
No, he's got
a with the other Jordan.
It's a pretty. I think you're mistaking it for another car. He's got a ways to go. And the processional of Wilkes and Jonatan continues.
Yeah, they're not stopping.
No, I don't think they are.
Past David Jakes now.
Yeah, Miller now overtaking Jakes, so the damage has been done, though. Jakes has pulled out an excellent gap between himself and Juha.
Jakes timed it very well, because it's also, at the end of this straight, is also the best place to let someone go by, especially if it's a quick car and no longer get damage in
So
the lap.
the next target for David Jakes is Ray Riddle, who is only 2.5 seconds up the road.
Yeah, and that's the points paying position, so he's got there a good prize to fight for.
What do we say? The ones that people fight the most for are the last spot in the podium and the last points paying position.
Yeah, the win, the third, and the last points paying one.
Yep. So we're on lap 41 now. Miller leads. Del Piccolo second. Grant Riddall third. Richard Wilkes fourth. Jonathan Acerclinth with a great drive in fifth place. Ray Riddall in sixth. Jakes in seventh, recovering beautifully from an early problem. Juha Boss in eighth. Coxon ninth. Brian Janik is 10th, quietly rising up the standings. 11th is Adam Hackman. 12th, Tiago Canola. 13th, Tim Hilla. And then 14th is Bruno Chacon. Those are the only cars running to this point. And the gap has actually increased between David Jakes and Ray Riddall. It's now 3.3 seconds. So looks like Ray is starting to hit a stride here that he didn't have earlier. As he is now getting the blue flag himself to be overtaken by Miller. So very shortly...
But Jonatan made it past Richard Wilkes and we missed that.
Oh, goodness. How did that happen?
I can still see it in the replay. So go and see if you catch it.
I'm going to... Yeah, Jonathan is fourth. Let's have a look at the replay, see how this happened. All right, we're going to have to go back a ways here. I was not expecting that. Wilkes must have made a mistake. Oh my goodness, it's at a spot in the track that I never would have suspected it would happen. It's at the top end of the course. Interesting. Wilkes coming out. He just had a slow exit from one of the slower corners, and Jonathan just came right alongside and went in there.
Up in the case of Richard Wilkes.
That was a great overtake for Jonathan. He saw an opportunity and just went for it.
Well, Wilkes hasn't been lapping much slower than the previous laps, so I don't know what's wrong there. Maybe it's the tires that have suddenly given up, or maybe
they must have, because look now at Jonathan. Look now at Jonathan stretch it out. And
yeah, it was obvious that Jonathan had more pace. He was held up,
and not a moment too soon, because you've got Jakes charging through the field, and I'm sure that Jonathan wanted to get ahead of Wilkes before that started to happen, if he's thinking that far back into the grid.
Yeah, well, that's now Ray Riddall's problem to handle.
Yes, it is, and speak of the devil, and he will appear. Here's David Jakes. Right with... so Ray got a bit of a reprieve there because he was being lapped by our leader, Dave Miller, but I don't know that he's going to be able to do much to keep Jakes out of sixth place. We'll see. Again, this is a Judd power plant versus the Yamaha V12.
Now Richard Coxon is on track much quicker than Juha Boss, and he's unlapping himself, or trying to, because it's not easy on the straight.
193 miles an hour for Jakes at the end of the straight there. He had a little bit of help from Ray, who was punching a hole in the air in front of him.
So there goes Richard Coxon. He unlaps himself on Juha Boss, who is not really putting up of a fight, since he knows that Richard is obviously quicker at this point of the race.
It's not for position. Jake's basically just looking for the right opportunity here to get past Ray. He's being very cool and collected about it. Not going to do anything stupid.
And Jonatan again past the pits, and the same goes for Richard Wilkes. Looking at the lap times, that seems to be for now the right decision, because they're not going any slower than the previous laps. Maybe they are really trying to make it without any pit stop at all.
No, I told you that was definitely something that Jonathan was thinking of doing. As here comes Jakes down the outside, past Ray Riddall into sixth place. So Jakes now enters the points. His next target is Richard Wilkes, who is 17 seconds up the road, but as we've seen, he's struggling on those tires. So we'll have to watch and see how quickly he can reel them in.
He's not going to make any other stop, and his pace is certainly very quick. So
yeah.
So he has been doing very low 120s, even venturing into 119s. Whereas in the case of Richard Wilkes, we're talking here about 121s. So it's about 1.5 seconds slower, which, well, is not going to... I don't have the times on my screen right now.
Well, there are other things to consider,
Jakes is
too.
a lap down already.
Oh, Ray runs off the track there a bit, but yeah, it's you got to factor in traffic as well. There's going to be other things to consider, but Acerclinth is now past Wilkes, so he can probably afford to take it a bit easier on the car now. And the gap is already tumbling down between Jakes and Wilkes. It's now 16 seconds and change.
16?
Yes.
Well, at 1.5 seconds nearly per lap, that's going to be about 10 laps, 12 laps or something like that. So, well, it's for sure David has enough time in this race yet to catch up, because it's
yes, he definitely does.
To the end.
Yeah, we got 23 laps to go.
Not really. Well, 23. Let me check that. Yeah, well, obviously. Oh, Juha was spun.
Oh no!
On the S's now. Yeah, he's coming back to track.
Yeah, he just had a oversteer moment. Oh, he did. He contacted the wall slightly, but he didn't lose the wing, so it looks like it was a pretty square hit, so he should be okay to continue. It was the nose that hit the... In fact, I think I see a little bit of an...
Hackman now goes straight into the grass. Back to track now.
Oh my goodness, this is very scary stuff here, because he's got... oh goodness, yeah, he's got... Grant Riddall overtaking him. He's got Shotgun with him. Yeah, into the grass now. He was trying to make room for them. I guess it went a little bit... It happened a bit more than he thought. He gave him more room than he intended. But he seems to be continuing on without any problem.
Yep.
We haven't talked much about Janik, but he's still in this race in 10th place. Obviously not the result he would have wanted. He was one of the ones that was involved in... Oh, goodness, no! Janik has spun the car! We're looking at a live picture, and he's lost the front wing, so he's going to have to go to the pits. Very unfortunate. And it's a similar thing to what happened to Coxon, but Janik obviously had a...
Well, he also was fortunate enough to be very close to the pits, but yeah, I mean, the bill for front wings this weekend for his team is going to be...
Here's a replay. He comes out of the second to last turn, and it's exactly the same thing that happened to Coxon. Sudden oversteer, exiting that corner, but this time, of course, with serious damage to the car. So, unfortunate for Janik, who has to stop. He's already down to 13th place. Canola is elevated to 12th. Hilla is 11th now, and Hackman now is in the top 10.
And another lap goes down for our leader, who is now on lap 49, 20 laps away from the end.
Yes, 20 laps to go after they complete... oh yeah, that's right. The group I'm looking at is a lap down, so that's right. 20 laps to go. Jonatan pulling out a bit of a gap on Wilkes now, 3 seconds.
Yeah, I believe I'm looking at Jakes, and I think that he has now at many points of the track a visual line to Richard Wilkes. Yes, he has. For example, right now, he can see him 2 turns further.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, as we all know, an extra motivation always.
Yeah, he's definitely closing. The gap is now 12 seconds between himself and Wilkes. I still don't have any idea what this snake-type thing on the Brabham wheel is supposed to be. But it looks very menacing, and I do not think that I'd like to find it in the jungle somewhere. He certainly looks aggressive. Some of our eagle-eye viewers on YouTube are pointing out that Brian selected the wrong gear going into that corner, and that might have been what happened. So
could be. So Wilkes is getting now the blue flag because the leader is coming.
Oh, yes.
That's something that also might slow down him a bit. And you can see from his car in high view, you can see clearly David Yates already looming in the horizon.
Yeah, but it's still a ways to go.
Well,
I mean,
probably Wilkes isn't that optimistic.
Yep, here comes Miller now. So the gap now, oh my goodness, the gap has dropped to below 10 seconds. So yeah, he lost a lot of time on that lap to Jakes, for sure.
Yeah, Wilkes is coming out of Peraltada now. Now he's in the main straight, whereas Wilkes isn't even yet at the breaking point of turn 1. I mean, it's absolutely direct visual line at this point when they are on the straight. Post coming now to Bruno Chacon, I believe.
Yes.
Dave Miller, yes, they're getting close to Bruno Chacon. And, well, for Wilkes, it's still a way to go, but probably with some luck he may be able to overtake the lapped car in a... Oh, well, very good job there on Bruno.
Yeah, Bruno doing a good job of watching his mirrors and making sure that he's not holding anybody up needlessly. Bruno currently 14th in the race. His teammate looking at another possible win. Dave Miller won the Brazilian Grand Prix, as we remember seeing early in this championship, and this is definitely going to give his championships hopes a shot in the arm. He scored one.
We were watching other things. It seems that Juha just retired with an accident.
Oh, no.
And one more thing that is developing right
here's
now.
The replay.
Grant Ridal is only 6 seconds behind Gabriele Del Piccolo. Watch out for that.
Oh my goodness, it's a carbon copy of what happened to Juha a few laps ago. Only this time, he lost wheels in the process and a wing. Coming out of the first turn, oversteer is induced, and he runs into the wall. That's really unfortunate. So, Juha boss out of the race. Sorry to see that. Chacon in the pits. This looks like a routine stop for him.
And Grant Ridal only 5 seconds behind Gabriele Del Piccolo now. So Gabriele's second position is right now very much in danger.
Well, you can't see him going into the Peraltada here. He's only 6 seconds behind. So we're going to look ahead to see if we can see the flash of a green car. I'm looking. I don't see it. But he's only 6 seconds away. Maybe there it is. I see it. It was hiding behind the whip antenna. I didn't see it. Yes, he's definitely closing on Del Piccolo, so that might make an exciting finish here. Yeah, Del Piccolo has resigned himself to being in second place by now, I'm sure, as Miller is a full 50 seconds ahead of him. So now it remains to be seen if Grant can close in. Looking now from the front nose of... front nose, as opposed to the back nose. The nose of Richard Wilkes' car, and we're looking for... As we look back, there is David Jakes making an appearance finally, so he is closing, but not quite as quickly as we would have anticipated. So it's going to be really interesting. We'll have two battles here coming close to the end of the race to watch very, very intently.
Yeah, this is where the long-term strategy that everybody has been preparing is starting to pay off for those that chose well. So, in the case of Grant, he obviously has been very patient because at some point Gabriele was like 20, nearly 30 seconds in front of him. But it seems that his choices were really, really good, and he's now, well, very much, he has really that second position with him reached.
Yeah, he definitely does. Gabriel just up the road. It's 5 seconds, and he is coming up to lap Janik.
And I'm still pulling my hair thinking what could have been in the case of David Yates, that we been able to stay there at the front.
Oh, God, he would have been able to challenge Miller. It would have been an incredible fight between those two, but a lot of things, unfortunately, didn't pan out in this race. Lewis Stephens out on lap 1. That would have been an incredible challenger for our regulars at the front here. And then, of course, a lot of the other silliness that went on in when the green light turned on. A bunch of people lost their wings, a bunch of stuff like that. And here comes Del Piccolo lapping Brian, and you can see in the background there is Grant Radal.
Bruno Chacon is going very slowly. He's obviously letting many cars go by, but he's, I would say, going up normally slow. I don't know if there is some damage in his car or what, but he's really slow now. There, he's making room.
Yeah, that's it. I would say so too. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, he's.
Maybe he was just waiting because since he's last in the race, he's in no hurry. But yeah, there he is accelerating again.
My goodness, yeah, he's definitely. I mean, there's letting people by, and then there's driving.
Whoa, but
yeah, something's not right with Bruno's car.
His wheel is tilted towards the left on the straight. So
oh, I see.
Damage.
As we're joined in the booth by Juha. Sorry to see you out of the race there, Juha. It looked like you just had snap oversteer again in the first corner.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I went in for a new set of tires, and well, they never worked as they should. So dropped like a brick down the order, and that was it.
Bruno is really constant there. He's very determined, and he's going very slow. And I think normally in this situation, if there would be more cars on the track, or if this would be a different track, I think that race control would be calling him off. But I guess that he has right now a bit more of leeway there, because he's actually making very good use of the track to make room for the people that are coming to him. But
yeah, but with a car that's this hard to drive, I don't know. This is, I mean, if it were me, I'd have to think really hard about whether I wanted to park it or not. But apparently, this is not a fix that he can make in the pits.
No, we'll have to see what happens when he comes next time by for the pits. But
well, he's handling okay through here, but yeah, he's obviously way off the pace. God, he's really struggling just to hold that car in a line. And meanwhile, I believe that's Tim Hille behind him there. Yeah, he's going to stay out.
He keeps going.
Yeah, he keeps going, but you see, this is the thing that concerns me. See, there, he makes room, but what if the car just he catches the car wrong and suddenly he drives into one of the leading cars? I mean, I really hope, I mean, Bruno is very generous with the space he's giving, obviously, but hopefully we're gonna have to keep a close eye on this.
Yeah. Back to the front. Grant getting a bit closer to Gabriele, but I think that the gap has been more or less steady in the last lap. Probably Gabriele has been
what's very interesting is how David Jakes is closing Richard Wilkes for fifth place.
Yes, he is. He's right with him now.
Got him.
He's got him in his sights right now, and I don't think this will take him too much time at all. And you can see just up the road is Jonatan.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a lot of positions there for David Yates to gain.
And points.
Yep.
And he's taking the long view in the championship here. Reminding everybody of what the driver points are right now. Coxon is in the lead with 28, but it does not appear that he's going to score points in this race unless something really catastrophic happens to the people in front of him. Mikkola, who is not in today's race, has 20. Wilkes has 13, and he's on pace to pick up 1 point. Miller, if he wins this race, will suddenly be vaulted into second place in the championship with 21 points. And Grant Riddall also, he's in third right now, so that would net him 4 more points, so he would be not far behind his teammate.
Yes, exactly. As we have been mentioning before, this is a race that could, well, do a big turnout in many aspects in this championship.
The curve is definitely flattening in this championship. We have and that's good for our viewers and good for the championship as a whole because it makes things far more interesting.
Now this is going to be a bit of a hairy situation because Bruno Chacon just entered the slow section and there are many cars coming now. Let's see how this pans out.
Yeah, Jonatan has got Tim Hilla in front of him here.
I hope Bruno will make way. It'll look.
Oh goodness. Yeah, Bruno's slowing right down, making all the room in the world for these three. Tim Hilla has been lapped by Jonatan in that exchange.
Oh, Bruno isn't certainly causing much trouble there.
No.
He's doing it very well. But it's always a hairy situation in this twisty section. Fortunately, the speed differential in this twisty section isn't that huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, here comes Jakes. I don't think he's going to get Hilla in. Well, Hilla makes the room for him, and now he's got an unimpeded path to Johnny Aces, who probably won't be able to do much versus the Yamaha V12, but yeah, you can see how much he's already pulling on the straight behind him. But Jonatan has been driving an absolutely brilliant and tactical race in a car that, quite frankly, has no business being in 4th place.
And Jakes is really on fire.
Yeah, he is. Going back to what you said earlier, it does make me wonder what he could have done. Yeah, don't do that there, Jakes. There's plenty of time.
Well, it depends if you're ambitious and want to go for the next position.
His teammate, yeah, who's a further 30 seconds up the road. I don't suppose it's out of the realm of possibility.
And Gabriele Del Piccolo.
Yeah.
So right after David dispenses, if he can, with Jonatan, we should be shifting to that other fight, which is going to be quite interesting also.
Yeah, there's only 3 seconds now between Grant and Gabrielle. We hope everybody's enjoying this race on YouTube, and we hope everybody is staying safe and out of harm's way. Look at how wide Jonathan's taking that LaRousse. As they come out of the turn now.
Yeah, but this is going to be it because the LaRousse is absolutely a tortoise here in the main straight.
Yep, there it goes. So Jakes moves up to 4th place. Down to 5th goes Jonatan. And Wilkes is in 6th place. So those are your top. Those are the 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Yeah, but watch out because Wilkes still has 2 seconds behind Ray Riddle. So even that last point playing position is.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Ray is right there. So that point is not guaranteed by any means. He's got Tim Hilla sitting between the two of them there.
Yeah,
Lets them by.
He's got Ricardo already. Look at that.
My goodness, he's right with him now. Yeah, that escalated quickly. So Wilkes' tires must be really, really shot by now. So he's just waiting station now behind Wilkes. I know that Wilkes' car has got a V10. I'm not sure about the displacement of the Judd. But looks like it's a pretty even fight when you're talking just straight line speed.
Yeah, well, we know that Wilkes has a setup that favors the Peralta and the main straight. But the question is what's going to happen here in the twisted section.
Yeah, in the twisty section, definitely it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, look at
right with him now.
That's the place where Rai really gets close. Well, as we said, one of the most fight for positions. I mean, the last points paying one.
Mm-hmm.
Up front, Gabriele still has some breathing room with Grant.
Not much, though. It's 10.
Not
It's
much,
2 seconds.
No, but only 8 laps to go. So if Grant is about to mount a challenge, he better speed up soon.
Yeah, he's got him in his sights, right ahead. Aiming the whip antenna at him.
I wouldn't discount with Richard Coxon for the final point either, because he's only 4 seconds behind them.
That's interesting because, this is going to be not helpful to Coxon's title efforts, because if he comes out of this with no points, it's going to flatten things dramatically on the chart.
Yeah, and that's what happens with Formula One. But even if it's not really a regularity thing with the points, because it rewards very much when you win or have a high position, not scoring is a complete tragedy here.
Yes.
Oops, there goes Ray Riddle is touching with
yes,
Richard Wilkes.
Ray is definitely itching to get around that Leighton house.
Tapping him slightly.
In his BMS Dallara. Maybe he can sneak by here at the... It's exciting. Yeah, there he goes. He takes a stab at the inside. Oh! Contact between Wilkes and Ray.
There was a bit of lag there.
Okay.
Yeah,
maybe
Richard has a bit of lag. That's...
Okay.
Both cars overlapped, and there's a very high ping in the case of Ricardo. 400 something.
I don't know. The ping is looking pretty decent from my point of view.
Well, here I can see it at 400 something.
Yes,
No,
and Coxon has already half the gap in 1 lap.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Coxon's coming fast and furious. So yeah, this is going to get very interesting very quickly here as we, coming by now, we have laps 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, and 69.
Speaking
to
of
go.
having a gap, Grant is less than a second behind Gabriele now.
And he's pushing it, really, because you can see the car swerving the front, which means that he's coming out of the turns half sideways, and when the car regains the grip, it gives him that very heavy kickback in the wheel. Really pushing it and taking many risks, but it's probably well worth it for him.
Yeah, he wants to maintain the momentum that he started last time out with his win.
Yeah, and if he wants to mount a challenge for the championship, then obviously that second position is going to be very important.
And it's important to remember that Grant does not have any other things to distract him. He gave up his USAC ride to focus on this, and I don't believe he has does he have a regular ride in ASTC? I don't know.
No, he doesn't know.
Okay, so this is the only thing on his docket at present.
He was moving house, and well, it was Ricardo sideways because of lag. He was moving house and had several personal issues, so he had to concentrate on one thing. But it's really paying off, I must say.
I think Ray might soon make a move for 6th place.
Oh yes, he's right with him now in the slipstream, and that may be a bit of lag there, but you can see how he's having to duck out there. Looks like he's going to take a shot here, but I don't think he's got him, no.
Yeah, but Coxon's coming from behind also, so
yeah, Coxon's
6th place that Ray Riddle is eyeing could be actually way more distant than he thinks.
Oh, he's right with Wilkes now, Ray, as they come up to this, and here was I know that it was ping-induced, but there may be a chance for him up here if he could take a stab on the throttle between this turn and the next one. We'll see what happens.
Look how close Coxon gets.
Yes, he takes a stab, goes up the inside. Is Ray going to get it done? Yes, Ray Riddle goes up to 6th place. And look at this.
Another spot.
Yeah. Coxon goes up to 7th place. So just that quickly, Wilkes is out of the points.
Yeah, I think that basically Wilkes is saying, let Richard give me revenge. He probably doesn't want to hurt Richard's championship fight, and since that's the last points-paying one, and Ricardo knows that he obviously is losing that point because there's no way he could keep him behind, he says, well, let Richard fight clean for it with Ray.
Well,
Grant may soon put a charge on Del Piccolo's second place because they're really close in the twisty sections.
Yeah, only 5 laps to go, but it's going to be hard. Really hard.
Well, he's right. He's getting close, and they have.
Now.
Yeah, Bruno makes room for them. No problem there. But look at
very good situation this time. And whoa, but that turn exit that hurt for Gabriele. And now Grant is right behind him in parabol. That's the place you don't want someone to have because the slipstream is for him. And look what happens here.
Yep, there goes Grant.
It's a rocket. That Yamaha engine is a rocket.
Oh my goodness! Look at how Gabrielle is counterattacking.
Doesn't give up.
Does not give up. Goes into the turn and he's maintained second place. But here comes. Oh my goodness, that was very close. But Grant goes right back up to second place. Interesting exchange there.
Really a strange move by Grant. Why did he move across the track to? I mean, he didn't need that angle. He had already gained the position. It's a bit weird.
I don't know, but clearly time is running out, and these drivers realize that there isn't much time to counterattack, and if they
so back now to Coxon and Riddle, which is the next fight.
We don't know if there are any team orders at BMS Dallara.
Yeah, fight till the end.
I doubt they have any orders. Richard just had his quickest lap of the race. He was really determined to get close to Ray.
Yeah, because of the different situations, strategic situation, it's obvious that Richard has better tires right now than Ray.
So interesting here. Does do the team come on the radio and say, "Hey Ray, we want you to give Coxon that point," or does Ray go, "What? I can't hear you guys. What'd you say?"
Richard is quicker than you, right? Richard is quicker than you.
Yeah, that was also a wreck, Charles.
So it's going to be 4 iconic laps for Ride Vidal.
Yeah.
Because after making all the big effort to climbing to that 6th position and getting past Ricardo, now he's again having to watch the mirrors to defend it. So far it seems to be working for him.
Yeah, he's holding his own. Don't forget that Coxon may be fighting damage from that incident he had before the Peraltada a few laps back, where where the car swapped ends on him. So he could be fighting damage in the car as well, which will give Ray a chance to maintain his gap. Jonatan Acerclinth continues in 5th place. Great drive for him. Fantastic. And I ventured to say that, I was telling him earlier, because he was kind enough to, oh my goodness, he locks up going into the slowest corner in the track. Don't do that again, Jonathan. He had us buzzing in his ear the whole time in the broadcast booth during the Bathurst race. And although he says that all the incidents he had were his fault, I felt bad because I'm like, I couldn't drive and focus if I had somebody buzzing in my ear all the time. But in this case, we moved him out of the booth, and clearly he's focusing all his attention on the task at hand, and he's going to come away with, hopefully, a top 5 finish here. Although he does have 2 flaming red Dallaras closing in on him. There are 3 laps to go. I don't know if there's enough time for them to make inroads here. But, oh my goodness, yeah, they're a lot closer than I thought to Jonathan. Maybe that lockup in that corner made him lose a few tenths. But you can see that
Ray he was probably, since he was in the same strategy as Richard Wilkes of not stopping, he's right now at the very end of his tires. Remember though that all of them have been lapped, so if you're looking at the lap display on top while following their car, that's actually 1 lap less to go.
Yes. Yeah, the number to the left is the number of the lap they are on right now. It does not mean laps completed, as Bruno gets out of the way of Ray.
And Coxon goes off into the grass.
Oh, no! Replay. Tires starting to give it the ghost. Yep. But he didn't. It cost him some time. But man, that might be all the time that. Yeah, he stays in the grass actually. But that might be all the time that that Ray needs to solidify his position. Yeah, that puts a huge cushion between himself and Coxon. So, I mean that basically answers that question. As long as Ray can keep going, he's looking.
Oh, Chacon on the straight.
Oh goodness! Richard Wilkes and Chacon have had an incident on the straight. Let's have a look at a replay. Apparently, we'll have to look at it from inside. Apparently, the closing distance to Chacon was not something that Wilkes was. Oh my goodness! I see what happened. Chacon moved to the right to make room for Wilkes to pass on the left, and Wilkes went to the right as well. So a miscommunication there.
Yeah, well,
my
something
goodness.
that could have probably happened the same when
yes
at slow higher speed. So it's not really a problem of Bruno having been going slower.
So we are on the final lap of the race now. An utterly amazing performance by Dave Miller.
Final lap. Dave Miller is on his cool down lap.
No. This is the final lap.
No, it's not.
Are you sure?
I am sure.
My goodness. Well, we were so wrapped up in other things that we missed the end of it, so... Yep, Miller coming through now. Definitely, yeah, this is definitely a cool-down lap for him. He's not pushing the car. Miller has won this race, and very convincingly.
Yeah, and Wilkes will be taking the checkered flag through the pits.
Yep. And Grant Riddall finishes second after a brilliant charge to get past Del Piccolo. Jakes finishes in fourth place after early problems. Acerclinth finishes in the top 5 in the LaRousse, a fantastic drive in a substandard car. Ray Riddall takes the last points-paying position in 6th.
Now it's going to be interesting how the championship pans out, how everything ends.
So that's 2 wins for Miller.
And Wilkes comes out of the pits with a new front wing to take the checkered flag. Yeah, he probably didn't notice that he was just 1 lap away because of the leader having already finished the race. So he basically entered for repairs to be sure he could make it around the track, but it wasn't really necessary. He could have sailed past. Well, anyways, it's usual here, a quite interesting race. I mean, it's not a matter of how many cars are finishing. It's a shame that there were not more cars on track, though we still beat the real Grand Prix by 1 car, thanks to Bruno Chacon soldering on there.
Yeah, definitely. And we are joined in the booth now by Dave Miller. Dave, congratulations on your win. Looked like a pretty dominating performance throughout. Not much of a challenge from Gabriel Del Piccolo, but did you have any issues today at all? It looked like a pretty flawless drive.
Thanks, Jason. At the risk of sounding like I'm blowing my own trumpet, no, that was a completely clean race. I don't think I had any issues at all there. Absolutely over the moon with that. And big thanks to everyone at home for watching and joining us this evening.
You got some fans in the YouTube chat giving you congratulations on a great race. Probably the thing you've heard a lot throughout your life, it is Miller time. So, but yeah, fabulous race. You had planned to just make 1 stop for tires, I guess, was always the plan.
Yes, single stop. I found that anything other than hard tires on the front of the car just melted within 2 or 3 laps. So hard tires on the front, softs on the rear, and change it halfway.
We're also joined by Gabriel Del Piccolo. Gabriel, you finished third today. Just barely lost second place to Grant because he was charging at the end. But good race for you. But it doesn't look like you just didn't have the car to match Dave Miller today.
Dave Miller was in terrific shape today. I'm a bit disappointed about my race because in warm-up my car was very fast, and I don't know why my car in race was a little bit too loose on the rear axle. So car wasn't never so comfortable to catch Dave, and also at the finish I had to let pass Grant because my car start to lose very much on the back, so I cannot do anymore.
Well, still, good drive. And we're also joined by Jonatan Acerclinth, who finished fifth today in the LaRousse. Great job, Jonathan. Excellent drive, and your tire strategy worked out really well.
Yes, yeah. I think I was a little bit lucky in the end because Richard were on the same strategy as me, and I got by him with, I don't know, 25 laps to go or something like that. And he then proceeded to hold Ray and Richard Coxon up enough for me to hold on until the end. Could do nothing about David Yates when he came flying, but really happy with that, and very thankful to both Yates and Nilsson for helping me out with the setup. It was beautiful.
Fantastic result for you, and yeah, it was interesting. You were caught behind Wilkes for a good chunk of the race. That was that frustrating at times because.
Yeah, it was frustrating. I could feel I was so much quicker than him in the infield, but I could never get close enough to actually have a go at him. And yeah, just in the end, I just decided that, well, if I'm going to burn off the tires, I may as well do it while trying to pass him. So I went into Peraltada like a madman and was able to get close enough to then have a move in turn 7. So it took me 8 turns to activate the move.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you, but I have to go now do some housekeeping and put some USAC race thread up. Congratulations, Gabriele, anyway, because that's a podium, and I hope that it continues in that line. And congratulations to that dominant win by Dave Miller. You made Nigel very proud with that. See you later on the next one. Good. Bye.
All right, thank you, Alberto. And he is alluding to a race that we have coming up soon. Those of you who are fans of Turning Left will definitely want to keep an eye peeled on the forum because we've got another thread going up in a second here. The next round on the F191 Championship is the French Grand Prix at Magny-Cours. Any thoughts to share on that race, gentlemen?
Well,
Any thoughts at all?
I'll obviously be in the broadcast booth, and should be a good bit of fun, that one. Super Speedways always throws up some interesting finishes. I particularly remember a couple of the 500 milers from Kart 88 and USAC 73 beforehand, where there were something like 2 thousandths of a second and 5 thousandths of a second covering the top 2, and about a tenth covering the top 5 in both.
All right, any thoughts from the rest of you on the next round in France? May 3rd, so it's not that far away.
Oh, pardon me, I was thinking about a complete wrong race. My apologies.
Well, I was thinking that doesn't make much sense, but then again, I don't drive these cars regularly, so I'm not going to.
Fair enough.
Nope, no worries. Anyway, so yeah, let's take a look real quickly at and remind you of what's coming up this week at ISO, ESO, depends on who you talk to. We're going to have a standardized way to... we have to come up with a standardized way to refer to the league. Coming up, Lakeside International Raceway on Wednesday, rounds 13 through 14 to 16, Wednesday, April 15th. Not a fun day in the United States. Dun, dun, dun. Although with the crisis, right now, I think we've all been given an extension. So maybe it's not so bad. But in any case, there are plenty of cars available if anybody wants to take part. Tin Top Racing on Wednesday nights is always fun. And then 2 weeks from now, Alberto alluded to it before he left the team speak. We have the Michigan 200, round 5 of the 1974 United States Auto Club series. And that's going to be on Sunday, April 26th. My home track, Michigan International Speedway in the Irish Hills of Brookline, Michigan. Green flag at 2000 CET. I'm guessing our friend Johnny Aces will be in the booth to bring you all of the high-speed action. Basically, fighter jets going in circles.
Very much so.
Yes. All right. Well, that was the Mexican Grand Prix. And I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into this race. Thanks also to Alberto Ibañez for his expert color commentary, and Jonatan for keeping me company during part of the warm-up. I appreciate that as well.
Very much welcome. Thank you for allowing me to join you.
So I don't believe we have anything on the air for next Sunday. So in that case, we'll be seeing you probably in 2 weeks. This is Jason White saying so long from Mexico City. Have a good Easter Sunday, everybody, and please stay safe.